I just returned from Patagonia, Argentina, where I was on a hunting trip with my husband. I have many downloads that I'm going to share, and I think you will be surprised to hear them. Hey there, and welcome to the Cinnamon Effect podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly, and I'm thrilled to have you with me on this vibrant journey of discovery and growth. This podcast is your go-to space for embracing intention, where you'll find clarity on your unique path, deepen those meaningful connections, and unleash your creativity like never before. We'll explore how to build unshakable confidence and celebrate the beauty of gratitude, all while savoring the calm that consistency brings to our lives. Thank you for being with me. Let's sprinkle a little cinnamon into your day and make life sweeter, healthier, and more fulfilling. Hey guys, Kimberly here, solo on the mic. And today I'm recapping my Patagonian hunting adventure. I know. Hunting and Kimberly with the Cinnamon Effect don't really go together, but in 22 years of being with my husband, I had never gone on a hunting trip with him. And we went because it was one of his best friend's 50th birthday, and said friend is very into hunting, and so is his wife, actually. And so they wanted to go to Patagonia, and it seemed like an easy yes because we honeymooned in Argentina in 2011. So not my first time to the country, but the first time to this area, Patagonia, and we'd always wanted to go there. So you fly in to Buenos Aires, and then you take another little flight to San Martin de los Andes, which is in the Patagonian region. And then we take a little drive, 20, 30 minutes to get to this lodge that we were staying at. And prior to the planning of this trip, I hear that this is the plan, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go on this trip. Okay. I was thinking, why don't you and Chris just go? You're going to have a great time. And we ended up calling this guy who kind of organized the whole thing. And he said, oh my gosh, you're going to love this place because you can get a massage there. They're cooking all this amazing food for you, and you're eating your meals there on property, and it's very beautiful. It's in a beautiful setting, and you're really going to love it. And I think, to be honest with you, that's what had, prevented me from hunting before, was always the accommodations. I'm a Taurus. I love nicer things. I like nice accommodations. I want to go back to like a comfy bed, this and that. So that was always the barrier for entry with me in this hunting experience. But, I grew up, my dad was a hunter. My husband, when we were dating, he was so into hunting. This is something that has been in my life a long time, and I always resisted it, okay? This time, there was no resisting. It was, you've got to come on this trip. Let's do this. We were actually leaving our son for the first time for a week. We've never left him that long. He's almost 10. We felt like the time was right, that he'd be fine. And, we're actually still nervous, like a little bit helicopter parent-ish, but we said, okay, we're going to do this. And to be honest with you, we really needed the time. We really needed this alone time together. I felt like it was really important for our marriage to go on this trip, okay? So again, it's, pushing myself a little outside of my comfort zone. You may recall I did go python hunting, which was my idea. You guys, I've talked about this. There's a whole episode on that. But this is something totally different. And really, that was like a nighttime hunt, and you're back at home, that evening. And this is going to be a full week excursion hunting and fly fishing. So we're doing both. So we get there, and what I loved about Argentina the first time was the warmth of the people that are from there. And as soon as we arrived at this lodge, Tipiluque, it's kind of world renowned for the fly fishing and the hunting. They just come out and they hug us and they just welcome us in. And so I said, okay, that put me at ease that I'm in this beautiful setting with these wonderful people. And we're really staying in this lodge. I think it houses 16 people. And there were only 4 of us, the 2 couples that knew each other. And so everybody else you're encountering, you don't really know. And they're from other parts of the country. There's people that have come to this lodge before. So we're hearing all their amazing experiences, and actually somebody was from the town that I live in that was all the way in Patagonia in Argentina that I did not know. So that's always interesting when you meet someone like that too. You're like, oh my God, wait, you're from the same town? That's pretty crazy. So that was very cool. Now, my husband decks me all out in camouflage. I'm actually wearing his camouflage outfits because I didn't want to buy anything. I'm like, I don't want to spend the money on that. Probably never going to use it again. So I use some of his hand-me-downs, his older camo. And we head out on an evening hunt. I think as soon as we got there, we go out on this evening hunt, right? And I actually just was there and I turned around and there's a fox sitting right there. And of course, my brain goes to, this is my spirit animal and this animal is trying to send me a message, That's kind of where my head goes. So I'm like, what is this fox trying to tell me, right? And I actually saw a fox. I saw different foxes 3 separate times. Nobody else saw a fox. So I really do think this fox was my spirit animal and was trying to convey a message to me. But we go on this evening hunt. And it's really cold. It's fall there, so the opposite season. It's beautiful. It's kind of the sun is setting and I am trailing behind. There's our hunting guide, my husband, and then myself. And we are going through the woods. And one thing about hunting is you have to be much quieter than I anticipated. So it was every little crunch of a branch under your foot, you really had to pay a lot of attention to. So then I got into the dancer in me was I'm going to step only when my husband is stepping, right? And I'm going to try and mimic his footprint and his steps. And so that got a little exhausting after a while. But, I'm seeing my husband in this element, his element, where it's really his true authenticity and his true identity. And it was really beautiful to see him kind of in this light. And I'm going to go more into this and my thoughts and feelings on this because this was a really big download for me. But I saw him, first of all, most people hunt with a rifle there, and he was hunting with a bow and arrow, which is much more complex, more challenging, and that's the way he wanted it. And this first hunt, we get close, we're hunting red stag, so it's like a deer type elk animal. I don't know, I'm probably saying that wrong. People are going to get mad, but we are hunting this animal, and we're in this beautiful setting. We're right by a lake and there's a wild horse, this beautiful wild horse that's sipping water from this lake. And there's this red stag who's giant. And the thing about bow hunting is that you have to get very close to the animal. You have to be within probably 50 to 75 yards away. And if you're hunting with a gun, you can be 300 yards away. So it's much different. So there's more strategy and you're really trying to figure out your approach to getting close to this animal without them hearing you and taking off. And their hearing is very good. So he gets very, very close and then something spooks the red stag. I actually think it was a really large jackrabbit that jumped out of the brush right there. And these jackrabbits are the size of small toddlers. They're really big animals. So it jumps out, spooks the red stag, runs off. But, I've witnessed this whole beautiful exchange between my husband, the hunter, and this animal, right? Now, further into the hunt, he does kill a wild boar. And here I've never really seen an animal killed in front of my eyes. And I burst into tears. Not the thing that the hunter wants to see. The hunter does not want to see his wife bursting into tears, okay? But that's what I do. And these boars, they wreak a lot of havoc in whatever environment they're in. So most places they're a nuisance and most places want to get rid of them. And I understand this but I've seen this whole thing unfold in front of my eyes. And, it was a very interesting experience. And I said a prayer for this wild boar and, and I'm crying but I'm trying not to let the guide or my husband see me crying because nobody wants to see that. And so that was really my first hunting experience ever. Whereas I saw this beauty and I saw this fox and I see all these amazing things, but then there's the actual part of hunting, which is the killing of the animal. And it was hard for me to witness. So the next morning we're hunting again. So I better just, put my big girl panties on and get over it and move forward. Right. So the next morning we go out and I really enjoyed the morning hunt a lot. It's foggy, it looks like I'm on another planet. It looks like Mars in a way. It's very rocky. You've got all this fog everywhere and the red stags are roaring. So these male red stags roar and it's this beautiful. It sounds like a Tyrannosaurus Rex off in the distance making this sound. So you're tracking them and you're trying to figure out where this red stag is because sometimes you hear it and you think it's over in this direction, but it's actually way over here in this other direction. So we go out and really this was observing, we're tracking, we're walking through the woods. Thank God I had waterproof boots on. It was very wet. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't really like to be dirty, but I'm doing all these things, but I'm you know what? I'm doing this for my husband. I want to be a part of this. I want to see what lights him up in his life. I want to do this thing with him. So I do it. I actually really, really enjoyed this morning hunt. We go back to the lodge. We're eating lunch. And then I hear that there are pumas out where we're hunting. Pumas are there. That's kind of like a mountain lion, but they call them pumas there. And here I'm rethinking when I got a little further behind them. At times I would kind of drop back. They're walking faster. Our guide is over 6 feet, so his stride is really big. And I'm trying to keep up with these guys. And one time I didn't want to spook the red stag that we were tracking, so I hung back. And now in hindsight, I'm hearing about this puma and I'm oh God, no, I have no weapon on me. I'm not going to get snatched by this puma, right? So my strategy changed. No hanging back. I've got to stay up with the guide. Okay, so there's another hunt that evening. And in my mind, I actually know that my husband is going to get one if I'm not there. I'm thinking I've enjoyed these 2 hunting experiences and I will hunt again. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, can he fully enjoy himself and really not be concerned about me? Because I do think he was a little concerned about me since I was behind them. I don't have a weapon on me. And just I think maybe I was a distraction to him. Okay. So I arranged to have a massage and I let him go out on that evening hunt without me. So it was him and his guide. Sure enough. But I'm telling you, I knew this. My intuition was I can really stay back. He's going to get one. He's going to be so excited. So on his 3rd hunt in Patagonia, he gets the largest red stag that has ever been killed with a bow and arrow on that land. Very impressive. I feel like he was legend already, having done that. He was incredibly excited. He came back and told me about the experience. And I had so many downloads, during this whole hunting trip, but one of which I actually did a little research on, was the effects of hunting. There's actually been a study done where they measured the testosterone level of hunters. Because here I saw this man come back after making this impressive kill. And he was grounded. He was very focused. He was so purpose driven in this experience. He was very manly. I could see the testosterone pumping through his veins, right? So they actually did this study where they tested a group of hunters in Bolivia and they tested them before they went hunting and then after the hunt. And they did a saliva test and the testosterone levels of the hunters after a successful hunt had risen, and they actually stayed high for a period of time. And, it was my observation that I see this like testosterone pumping through his veins. He was more like attractive to me. I was very attracted to this man that came back that had just provided. And I thought, this is human biology. This is what men are meant to do in a way. They're procuring and they're providing and they're doing all these things. And I saw it in real time and I just thought, this is very, very cool, right? And modern men are not experiencing this. Modern men are sitting behind screens and they're not doing as much of these things. And so I kind of went down this like a little bit of this rabbit hole because of course not everyone's going to hunt and you're not hunting, every day to procure your food, right? So like how else can you achieve this level of testosterone doing these manly things? So what I'm thinking is like, you know what? Men need to do manly shit to like keep their testosterone high. So that can also be, competition. It can be weightlifting and physical challenge and doing these things that promote the increase in testosterone and promote what men were really created to do, And so it was so interesting because, I can see my husband in everyday life and then I saw him hunting and I was like, okay, now we're talking here. Like I did not realize like I was going to have this reaction to him of like, wow, like this is very attractive to me, what you just did and what you just accomplished, right? And I also loved, here I had always had this kind of negative thought of my husband hunting. It was taking time away from me. Like in the early days when we were dating, it was taking time away from me. He was off in the woods and I couldn't talk to him on the phone because he was in the middle of nowhere. And this is something that's been going on, like I said, 22 years, and I've never been a part of the hunting excursion. And it made me a little sad because after seeing him hunt, and we ended up going on multiple hunts after that. And since he had killed this like amazing red stag, he was more into being in nature and kind of tracking these animals, but not necessarily feeling the need to kill another one. And it's always very important to him to eat his kill. So we did that. And they actually cooked up the red stag for us and everything. It was an important part of the process. And it always has been. He's never been a trophy hunter, always killing for food and nourishment. And, I felt a little sadness of like, I wish I would have bought into this sooner because you know what? I saw my husband be so present and focused in what he was doing and so lit up. And I think that that's important for us to do for ourselves. Of course, I always preach that, and I feel like that's always part of my goal. But it's important for us to see our partners in that light as well. And it's important for us to watch our partners do something that truly lights them up and do something that they truly love to do. Because when you see someone, it's like when you're watching an athlete get a gold medal and they're so into their task and what they're doing that you almost want to cry, right? You feel that emotion. And I think it's important for us to view our partners in that way and to see the things that they truly love to do. I promise you, it'll help you understand them better. It'll help you see them in a new light. You'll have more appreciation. I actually had so much appreciation for him and what he does and the strength it takes to maneuver the bow so silently that you're able to get an animal without them getting spooked and running off. There's so many aspects of what I saw with him that I think it was really good for our marriage. It was really good for our relationship. I have a whole new respect for it. I feel like next time he's like, I'm going to go hunting, I'm going to be like, you know what? You go and do that. It's good for his health. First of all, it's good for his mental health. It's good for his testosterone levels, which we're all talking about testosterone and hormones and, all these things. Like there's so many positive aspects of it. And I just think in modern times, it's so hard for the men. And we are getting away from the physical challenge, the hunting for our food. We're getting away from that. We're stuck behind screens and we're doing all these things, but men need to get out there and do manly things. I saw it firsthand. It's my observation. I'm just going to drop that little health nugget right there because I think it's super important. Just like women need to be in our divine feminine, we need to feel safe and we need to feel taken care of to often feel our most feminine. And it doesn't mean that you can't be the boss babe and the CEO and the founder of a company. That's not what I'm saying. But we also need to feel into our feminine energy and our feminine vibes, right? So men need to do the same. And I think that's talked about a little less, So there were so many downloads. I also enjoyed being out in nature more than I imagined. I'm a Taurus, I'm an earth sign. So earth and nature is my jam. But it made me realize that I don't spend enough time in nature, and the trees and the fresh air and the breeze and the walking, lots and lots of walking. It was so special and so beautiful. Not to mention, we ended up going out on the river and fly fishing. And, fly fishing is more difficult than I imagined. I consider myself pretty coordinated, but fly fishing is another animal. And of course, I fished for saltwater fish, but fly fishing is interesting, very meditative, the movements that you're making and everything. So I need to learn more. I definitely need to learn more in the fly fishing realm. But there were so many people at this lodge that they had come to this area in Patagonia for the fly fishing. And we just met some incredible people. We had dinners every night together, and we got to forge a relationship with people that we never would have met otherwise. There were investment bankers, and there were, all these different types of people and walks of life who were there. And it was really, really special. So an incredible trip. The downloads, men, get out there, do manly things. See your partner doing something that lights them up and support them in doing it. Spend time in nature, walk, get out there and experience the nature. The growth doesn't come from doing more of what we already know. It comes from stepping into something unfamiliar. And so that's what this experience was for me. And I always find when I step into the unknown and I give something a shot, after the fact, I leave and I feel like my world has opened up so much more. I have this whole new set of experiences and knowledge, and I've seen a different way of life, and I've seen what lights other people up, and it inspires me to do more and inspires me to do other things, right? It's going to push me to, okay, maybe I'll go on another hunting trip, right? My takeaway is that men and women are very, very different. And being different is not something to resist. It's something to embrace. And I want to embrace my husband and his hobbies more than I had before. He is a man with a lot of hobbies. I will tell you that. He's got a lot of hobbies, but I want to embrace that part of him more. And we came out of that trip stronger, more in tune, and just I had a deeper appreciation for him. And so I feel super, super grateful. The trip to Argentina gave me more than I expected, gave me perspective. And sometimes that's the real cinnamon effect, people, is this different perspective on life. You don't want everything to stay the same. You want it to change. You want to grow, and you want to shift your perspective in different ways. And so that is part of what the cinnamon effect is to me. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys and give you a little insight into my trip. And maybe you'll get out there and try something new that you haven't done. Maybe it's not hunting, but maybe it's something else. I just want to inspire you to do so. So get out there, try something new, and we'll see you next time on The Cinnamon Effect. Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Cinnamon Effect. If you enjoyed our time together, don't forget to hit that follow button on your podcast app and sprinkle a little love by leaving us a 5-star rating and a quick review. Your support means the world to me. For even more goodness, check out the show notes where you'll find links to some of my favorite products. And don't forget to visit thecinnamoneffect.com to connect with me directly or to grab your TCE gratitude journal, your next step towards a more grateful life. I can't wait to spice things up with you again next time. Stay vibrant, stay inspired, and remember to add a little cinnamon to your life every day.